Charmin, Ron, reading comics, toys are hella sick, hella whacking it, taking bad hits, taking back hits, subscribe, stop in the name. Hey, what's up you guys, Charmin Prime here doing another Transformers figure review on the Transformers 4 Age of Extinction Deluxe Class Lockdown. If you're trying to get your Transformers figures, you can get me that big. Get your big badass toys at BigBadToyStore.com. Click the link in the description below.
I just found it today after a long day taking care of a lot of wedding stuff, which is very stressful and expensive and time consuming and stuff. So the universe rewarded me with Lockdown. Isn't that awesome? You get his ugly face over there. You get his ugly face again right there on the side. Both Lockdown modes right over here. We got a bio on Lockdown. If you want to read that, pause it now. And then there's Strafe and Drift. I reviewed both of those figures already. Let's get to it and crack this thing open. So here's Lockdown out of the packaging and kind of a puny little figure. For a deluxe class figure, it feels quite small, but not a bad figure anyway. I think it's actually pretty cool. I like it. Pretty simple transformation, a very familiar transformation. He does come with his one accessory over here, which is quite large. It has a lot of nice sculpted detail on here. I like that a lot. I think this is actually pretty damn cool. And then it does have a firing function over here, so you just pull this back and boom, there that goes. Well, you can see it went all the way back there. Then you have to pull it out again before you put that missile right back in there. He has this peg over here which is intended for him to hold it in either of his hands if you wish. Then he has another tab right over here which is meant for his face cannon. So he has a slot right over there at the top of his head, and then you could just plug this in and get that in there, and let's see, boom, face cannon. See it from the side like this, it doesn't look too bad at all. Pretty cool face cannon. But when you look at his actual face over here, this is pretty damn sick. A lot of sculpted detail in there. Very bright silver paint added to the face. I think that looks very cool. Now he does have this little light piping piece over here, which I think is pretty useless. As you can see, it's not really working. I take this lamp, put it over his head. You can see like the silver is going bright, but the eyes have yet to really shine. So I think the light piping on this figure is, doused in weak sauce. But overall, the face sculpt looks very, very impressive. Get some nice detail right here on his chest. He does have a Decepticon logo, even though he's not really a Decepticon. And then he has some nice silver right over here on the hand too. Some nice sculpted detail on that. And then his waist section has some nice goldish yellow color right over here. And I really like this, this brownish olive color. I don't know what to really call it. It's such an off brown color, but I do think it looks very cool. And again, some nice sculpted detail for those lockdown does, and some nice silver painted right over here. It's really not a bad looking figure. I guess my biggest gripe with it is that it is a bit small. And as you can see, he does have a backpack over here, but it's not too bad. It's actually quite compact. It looks pretty good. Now, this guy has some decent articulation, not great. His head rotates side to side. You can't really get him to look up and down too much at all. His shoulders move outward. They rotate forward. He does have an elbow that bends in at 90 degrees. It also rotates at the elbow, but it doesn't really go outward. It mostly just turns inward over here. He doesn't have any waist articulation, but his hips move all the way outward. They kick very far forward. He bends 90 degrees at the knee, and then his ankles move down. For his robot mode, Lockdown stands just a little over 5 inches tall. And here's the deluxe class compared to the one-step changer Lockdown, and you can see, wow, they look completely different. Almost completely different characters, really. And to compare him to another TF4 deluxe class figure, here he is next to the Evolution 2-pack Bumblebee figure, and yeah, Lockdown's definitely a little bit shorter than Bumblebee over here. Even just looking at the head sculpts, you can see he's a little shorter. And here he is next to the Marvel Legends Big Time Letdown Spider-Man. So the transformation on this guy is pretty simple, and I'm still gonna ask Bumblebee for some help. So will you take us away, Bumblebee? Okay, so the first thing you want to do, or I like to do, is put the feet down and then rotate them inward right here, and these are going to collapse together. As you can see, there's a peg right over here. It's going to go into that slot, just like so. Then I'm going to move this whole assembly upwards over here, and then what you want to do is rotate the whole thing around, and then you can take this piece over here, and this is all going to unfold over here. So it has a hinge over here and a hinge right there, and then you can kind of piece that together. And then you want to take these arms and you want to rotate them inward so that it's going to form the door right over there, and do the same thing to the other side. And then there's a hinge right over here, and then that's going to cause this whole section to move all the way forward. And then we're going to get this all tabbed in together, so that's part of the hood. And then the head's going to be stuck right in there. Get his own head stuck between his own legs, which is a little nasty, but oh well, whatever. It's Transformer. And then these two pieces right here are going to hinge upwards, and that's going to collapse together. And then there's this peg that sticks out over here. That's going to go into that peg hole. Same thing on the other side. and then you take these pieces and you move them inward, and there you go. Just have to make sure everything's all nice and flush, and that is his car mode, which looks absolutely fantastic. I mean, this is just a beautiful Lamborghini, specifically the Aventador LP704. Looking awesome over here. I wish he had windshields on the sides. I guess that kind of looks like a car seat, a little high to be a car seat, I guess. But yeah, I wish he had some windshields over there. Again, the Decepticon logo. And I really like the color of this car. It's such a weird off color. I really like it a lot. They painted some tail lights over here. I think that's very cool. We get this translucent blue up top, and same thing for the front windshield. Would have been nice to see it right here for these headlights, but you know, it's not too bad. I like the metallic blue, as I had mentioned earlier. I like that you can see the little Lamborghini logo over here, and they have sculpted windshield wipers on there. I think that is pretty sweet. We also get these sculpted on rear view mirrors. Not too many Ghibli bits underneath here or anything, just his head between his own legs, which is, again, I find that humorous. Okay, I can't get over that. And I really like how you can see some of the brake pads right here. Yeah, you can see the red brake pads underneath. I think that's very cool. You can't really see it for the front tires. I think that is very, very dope. But just overall, very sleek, beautiful looking Lamborghini mode. And it does roll quite well. Boppity boopy. Spaghetti. Ravioli. And if you'd like, you can take his face gun over here and it pegs into the back of the figure. So you get these two pegs sticking out and those two slots over there. So yeah, there you go. Face gun on the butt. Yeah. Pew, 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 pew. Now lockdown measures only a little over 4.5 inches across and just about 1.5 inches to 2 inches tall. And here he is next to his one-step changer counterpart. I mean, can you tell which is which? They're just about the same size, really. Well, that's obviously the Deluxe class one right over there. And here's Lockdown compared to our Transformers 4 High Octane Bumblebee and the Transformers 1 Bumblebee over here. He is a smaller figure compared to the High Octane Bumblebee and definitely smaller compared to the first Transformers movie Bumblebee. So obviously my biggest complaint with the figure is the size. I mentioned it quite a few times, but other than that, I think it is a pretty cool figure. He could use some more articulation in his robot mode, but other than that, I'm really happy to have found this figure and I'm very, very happy to have it. And I hope you guys liked my video. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, don't forget to subscribe, and check out tformers.com for the latest in Transformers news and a photo gallery of images from this video. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.
Gave it a spark. Welcome to articulated comic book art.
That's crispy.
Like you care, or hey, you may care.